Thank you for tuning in to today's collective reading. I'm very grateful to each and every one of you. And I hope that in today's reading, you can find the guidance, the comfort, the connection, the validation of your own intuition that you seek. In this particular reading today, it really was highlighted in the meditation coming in that this is to really be focused on you and self-care and caring for self, and how shifting and healing and focusing within causes that to be reflected back to you. The first thing that came through was the only way out is through. To remember that you are gifted, that you are not alone, that the divine is with you, and you have been given these awarenesses, these sensitivities for a reason. And to trust that when it is time to use these gifts, to embody them, to be fully empowered within them, that the divine will make sure that it is the appropriate time to create the desired effect, as well as for you to actually be where you are fully ready. This is achieved through maintaining boundaries that you've set, as well as asserting new ones as you encounter the need for them, by listening to yourself. You know something doesn't feel right, and you know when you set a boundary and how or why that it becomes more in balance with you. You're also being guided by, the angels, the ancestors, your guardians and your guides, all working with the divine to affirm for you that you have set a healthy boundary, and that one could be needed that maybe you weren't necessarily noticing, or maybe the boundary needs to be tweaked a little bit, to just stay tuned into your inner world, to be receptive to that guidance, to listening to that part of you. And by honoring this gift, this awareness, this sensitivity, and not feeling like you need to hide it or that it's shameful somehow because it sets you apart, to honor that, to cultivate falling in love with yourself, in your uniqueness, to love that sets you apart. These things will only invite the divine to act through you in the proper time, because you're surrendering to that guidance, as well as having healthy boundaries and allowing that guidance to come in when you don't really know all that's at play, to trust that guidance in setting the boundary, in falling in love with self, in all of your uniqueness that sets you apart. And people have not always been kind about your differences. That's human nature, is to notice those things that set others apart. And it's not always kind, but it is a part of human nature. Loving yourself is not needing their approval. To love yourself, to celebrate these things. In fully moving into this, you're creating space for this to be mirrored back to you in your reality around you. So you will have someone who surrenders their fears and their concerns and their worries to divine, or people, groups, dynamics that do this, as well as, individuals that have healthy boundaries and listen to their inner voice, and individuals that love themselves and celebrate those unique attributes that they've been gifted with. The challenge is whether or not you feel worthy of this being mirrored back to you. There's a bit of a block, a bit of a healing there. It's like you're good with getting on board with loving yourself, but having an outside individual or group mirror this back to you, it's the next step in your healing. And while you go through this, to maintain that connection to all of you, being that union within self, and knowing that you worry, we all worry. We all have things that we're concerned of, and it's whether or not you let that worry run on repeat and just continue to perpetuate itself. That it can then, especially with these gifts, become something you actually manifest. So you'd be manifesting your fears. And that is not what I get from this collective at all. You guys are here because you're working on, you're driven, you're passionate about overcoming obstacles. And notice the worry, acknowledge the worry, so it knows it's been heard, and then refocus yourself on solution, on the desire of like where you want to be, what you want it to look like, how you want it to play out. Refocus on the positive. Because what you resist, like, it literally persists. So if you worry and worry and worry and you don't acknowledge what you worry about, it will only become more intense. So by acknowledging it, you diffuse that. You're not necessarily acting on it. You're not validating it. You're acknowledging that it's there so you can refocus elsewhere. And it doesn't mean you're not going to come back to what you're worried about. What it means is you're surrendering that to the divine. That in divine timing, that will resolve itself. That there will be an overcoming of that which worries you. In acting towards these messages of cleansing and clearing and not ignoring when you have anxiety, but addressing it allows it to diffuse. If you're frustrated because you feel you don't fit, because you are unique, acknowledging that so that it doesn't maintain being your constant state of experience is cleansing of that, which allows you to see this process being mirrored back to you around you. And as you see your own reflection change, even physically in the mirror, if you're taking time to nurture and take care of yourself with hygiene or working out or diet, you will see your own reflection change, knowing that there's confidence that comes with that, especially when you see it being mirrored back to you and those around you. And that's all working in co-creation with divine. Surrendering those worries, those concerns, those fears allows for the solutions to come in, the answers, the healing, because you surrender that, thus you're not focusing on it, allows divine to work on it while you focus on the positive, where you're desiring to go, to be, what you're wanting to live. So self-care for you at this point, loving self, listening to your intuition, surrendering the things that you can't change yourself to divine, allows you to create the change within you, to see the change you desire reflected back to you. Really bringing in that manifestation that you're seeking. And that concludes the message, the channeling for today. The divine within me honors the divine within you. Namaste.